Hello everybody, welcome back to the Overground channel. I appreciate you coming back to check this part 2 video out of my tournament report. I appreciate you guys sticking around and supporting the channel. Again, this is just going to be a quick preface to let you guys know that due to unfortunate circumstances, the video and visual kind of elements of this tournament report were unfortunately corrupted. So just in the sense that I wanted to kind of get this out to you guys as quickly and efficiently as possible, this will be my podcast version, audio only tournament report, and this is going to be part 2 of the official Bandai Webcam Tournament report that I took part in over this past weekend, covering day 2. If you guys have any questions, again, feel free to comment below and ask me anything that you want. Let me know if you enjoyed this format too, because if this was more kind of conducive to what you enjoy doing on YouTube, I might start making more audio videos like this more often. So yeah, let me know what you think, and hopefully on the next round of events I can get a proper video out for you guys. But for now, I'm hoping that this will be enough to kind of get my thoughts and opinions out there. All right, take care everybody. Enjoy the rest of the audio. Hey fellow tamers and Digidestined, it's Mike from Overground again, and welcome to part 2 of our tournament report series where we're covering the official Bandai Webcam events that took place this past weekend. We played in both events on Saturday and Sunday with Card and Magica, where we finished second place both times. So the last one ran a little bit long. Let's try to speed through this one a little bit more. I've got my notes. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So round 1 of this event, we played against a red Omnimon deck. Now, in this game 1, unfortunately, my opponent did not set up their security stack, and we did not actually know until I declared an attack. So what ended up happening is that sometimes when you're playing on a webcam match, you have to really condense your field depending on the size of your webcam and how much area you can actually cover. So I just thought that my opponent's security was off screen, but unfortunately they never actually set it up in the first place. So when I declared an attack, we called the judge. Judge came in and ruled it as a game loss, so we had to move on to game 2. During game 2, we were playing the memory choke denial game. I would leave my opponent at 1 or 2 as often as possible. He would leave me at 1 or 2 as often as possible. Unfortunately, sometimes he left me with 3 or 4, and that gave me just a bit of an edge to kind of come back, build my board up a little bit taller, sometimes a little bit wider, and I was able to clinch out the game from there. Round 2, we played against Red-Green Tyrannomon, Christmas Tyrannomon as we like to colloquially call it. And again, we played against our friend Dominic, Hydrojon, who played Rookie Rush in the event previous, who was also the person, one of the Rookie Rush players we actually played in the event last week as well. And Dominic beat us game 1. We lost due to kind of a lack of momentum. I didn't draw any ultimate level 5 Digimon for a very long time, and I was put in a position where his giant Tyrannomons were very big numbers. His Metal Tyrannomon can reach heights of 10,000, 12,000 on his turn due to his buffs, and unfortunately I needed my Megas to kind of add some equilibrium to that match. But I didn't want to drop my Megas hard, because then that would have given way too much memory to work with, and I would have been punished for that severely. So I kind of needed an ultimate to bridge that gap, and unfortunately none of them just came to my hand as often as I tried, but that's just sometimes what happens. That's how the game is played. Anyway, moving on to game 2. Game 2 was relatively cut and dry. He had 2 Palmon and a 4,000 DP green Tyrannomon on the field. He had nothing in his raised area at the time. I was able to Volcanic Dramon for a 3-for-1, and then at that point he just did not have enough cards to survive the oncoming onslaught, and the game was pretty much over. Unfortunately, games 1 and 2 took a very long time, so as we went into game 3, we actually found out about maybe 5 minutes in or so that we were in overtime. So the way end of time procedures worked in this event for Digimon was that after the 50 minutes of the round had expired, there was a 5-minute overtime timer, or you had 3 turns, and whatever came first, that determined the result of the end of the game. So in our case, it was Dominic's turn. He was turn 0. I would have been turn 1. He would have been turn 2. Then I would have been turn 3 again. And if no victor was determined after those 3 turns had passed, then it would have been a draw, because we had each won a game at that point. However, if the 5-minute timer expired before we were able to do those 3 turns and no winner was declared, then the result still would have been a draw. So either way, we were kind of looking down the barrel of a draw, and we tried to kind of play as quickly as possible to see if we could sneak in a win for either one of us. And it got to a point where I had an Omnimon with a Weregurumon as a source for the extra 1 security, and he had a Digimon with no source, so that Weregurumon was online. He had 5 full security at that point, and I had 5 security, but unfortunately by playing the Omnimon, I had to end my turn. So I was turn 1, so that meant he was turn 2, and that was his final turn period. He was able to drop a Puppetmon to suspend my Omnimon, and that prevented us from actually finishing the game out completely. So unfortunately, we got a draw. Unfortunately, this draw contributed to us getting second place again, because how the point structure worked at the end of the day, you get 3 points per win and only 1 point per draw. So the winner at the end of the day had 15 points because he had 5 wins. We only had 4 wins and 1 draw, so we had 12 points plus 1, which was 13. So we were the highest, right under the undefeated, but not low enough to have 12 points due to having 1 loss. So technically at the end of the day, we went undefeated. I'll take it. So round 3, we played against Purple, which is actually our friend Frank. We played a lot of friends today, which was really unfortunate. And in this game, game 1, again, I kind of lost a bit to getting no momentum. Eventually, at one point, my deck kind of ran out of gas, and I stopped drawing into good stuff and stopped drawing into a win. I stopped drawing into matching levels to keep evolving things, so I could keep drawing more cards and try to out his board. Game 2, I built a big Digimon in my raising area after turn 1, since he had a 5-drop and he didn't open any rookies. So what that did, that allowed me to, again, build up a very, very, very big Metal Garurumon that he could not deal with going into his turn. He could not Trump Sword it since it did not exist in the main field yet. And then going into my turn, I was able to bring it up, attack with it, pop out a Grizzlymon as a blocker, and again, because it was already suspended, his Trump Sword didn't really have a lot of value because it could only hit the new unsuspended Digimon. Going into game 3, I established blockers early, and we almost went into time again, which was super close. And I was able to kind of get my Plesiomon to out his giant Boltmon that he had just kind of brought onto the board a turn previous. And had his Boltmon stuck, he actually had a Millenniummon in hand to bring out and kind of wreck my day. So I'm glad I was able to kind of trade blows with that and put us back on equal footing. And then eventually we ended up just kind of eking it out because we had just a few more attackers than he did. So round 4, we played the mirror match, again the blue Omni Mirror. This is the first event where we did not play George, Spirit TCG. So he was also playing Christmas Tyrannomon, and he placed 3rd in this event as well. So congratulations to him. But this is the first time we played the blue mirror. That was not George. But in this blue mirror, game 1, we lost because we didn't draw any ultimates again. So it got to a point where we just ran out of momentum. We could not establish big bodies on board, but we did not want to commit those big megas to give my opponent lots of memory. If you're playing the Omni Mirror match, Omnimon thrives in a large memory environment. So when you give them a lot of memory, that Omnimon is literally free, and they can just destroy your entire board and just rip away as many securities as humanly possible. So due to that loss of momentum, that was it. We just kind of gave up. Game 2, this was kind of cool. So I only opened 1 champion the entire game, and it was Gorillamon. So what I ended up doing is that I was able to build a chain with Gorillamon up until Metal Garurumon, attack with Metal Garurumon, pop the Gorillamon out, and over the course of the next turn, build up into a new Metal Garurumon chain with that same Gorillamon, attack with the new Metal Garurumon, pop Gorillamon out again, and then keep building up into a new Mega with that Gorillamon. So I was able to kind of get a lot of value out of that one single champion just by constantly looping my Metal Garurumons, and that put me in a winning position because my opponent could not deal with my level 6s without committing to an Omnimon, but by committing to his Omnimon, he allowed me to Omnimon him back. So that was the end of that game. Game 3, my opponent unfortunately did not open any champions throughout the entire course of the game, so he could not establish any big momentum. He kept having to drop big 6-7 drops out of his ultimates just to start getting value out of his plays, but unfortunately that gave us enough memory to just kind of bring out a bunch of big dudes, set up a lot of blockers, set up a lot of big megas, and steal the game from there. And finally, we go into our final round, and this was against a black blocker deck. This is probably the one round that we were the least prepared for, that I was the least prepared for personally, and the one that I kind of didn't really respect in my deck building process. So I was very afraid of this matchup, and I'm going to explain why. So my opponent set up the black regular War Greymon very quickly, and so that War Greymon has its blocker, but it also has reboot. So when it declares an attack, it gets unsuspended during my unsuspend phase. Now, normally how I would deal with Digimon like that, because it's usually 11,000, I would just bring up my Plesiomon and I would attack over it. However, because it has reboot, I cannot declare an attack on unsuspended Digimon. But because he didn't build his chain properly, so it didn't have jamming, he actually attacked into my security stack, and an Omnimon was able to destroy the War Greymon. The reason I was kind of scared was because outside of my own Omnimon in my hand to put on the board, I didn't actually have a clean out to that Wargreymon. And because we kept playing the memory denial game, I wasn't in ever a position to play that Omnimon to get rid of the Wargreymon. So I was in a position where he was just getting free attacks in every turn, and he had 11k blocker to boot. So thankfully that Omnimon in my stack really saved me, but that was kind of an example of, had I not had the clean out, I would have had to probably scoop that game very quickly. Now we're going to go into, needless to say, I was able to kind of come back from that. Once I got rid of that big Digimon, I was able to just kind of clear the board from there and just attack with my attackers, set up blockers of my own, and kind of just keep the momentum going in my favor. Game 2, though, unfortunately, my opponent had to hard play a Greymon for 5 and pass because he did not open any rookies, and that allowed us to go all the way up to Metal Garurumon in our raising area, and on the next turn we were able to just kind of keep spamming and looping our board. So we attacked with Metal Garurumon, we popped out the Garurumon that on play allows us to unsuspend, we unsuspend the Metal Garurumon, we attack again, that allowed us to pop out another Gomamon, and by that point we had established kind of 3 new chains for 1. So off that 1/5 memory investment that my opponent made with the Greymon, it actually turned into 3 established Digimon chains on my side that he just could not break. So unfortunately he conceded very quickly, but it was a great game, it was a great effort on his part, and by that point, we finished with 4 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw, concluding in 13 points and getting second place one more time. So there it is. That was my tournament experience on both Saturday and Sunday with Carta Magica this weekend. Unfortunately, we didn't clinch the win, but you know what? Second place is nothing to scoff at. I'm super glad how the deck performed. I'm super glad with my own personal performance and how I played. I love this game, and I love developing and growing as a player. I'm sure there's a couple misplays I made throughout the course of the day, and I'm proud to admit those. And, we learn from them, and we grow from them, and we get better. So to every opponent that beat me, thank you for those experiences. And to every opponent that I beat, I hope that I taught you something today as well. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this tournament report. If you have any more questions or anything that you want to say, let me know in the comments below. I love engaging in conversation with you guys, and I look forward to hearing from you. But again, this is Mike from Overground, 2-time second place participant. Hopefully we can get first place next time, guys. Take care.